Hey guys, welcome to Latest Spirit. Looking back at one hell of a weekend in combat sports. We had Teofimo Lopez dethroning Josh Taylor for the WBO super lightweight title. Fantastic performance from Teofimo Lopez.
You don't throw this kind of shot in a fight unless you feel like you're in full control.
WBO Lineal Junior welterweight champion of the world.
We had Amanda Nunes defending her women's bantamweight title against Irene Aldana. And then she retired, much to the annoyance of Juliana Pena. And then we also had a brawl in the Mayweather exhibition fight that I literally forgot it was even happening. I couldn't even care less, and then I saw it all on Twitter. There was this massive brawl because John Gotti, who is the grandson of a New York gangster, I don't think people knew that he's the grandson of a New York gangster. Just after he got disqualified for holding by the referee, I don't know what his first name is, Bayless, and he literally went after him even though he got disqualified. So I've seen some mad stuff from that, but I'm going to be talking about the co-main event of UFC 289 in Vancouver, Canada. We're looking at Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush. Oliveira, one of the biggest stars UFC has. Even though he doesn't even have his title anymore, loads of people love him. He's a fan favourite. Even in the atmosphere in this matchup, you could hear all the fans there were for Charles Oliveira.
Who's the champion?
And he's a people's champion. He's a real people's champion. You know, you see that after his fights, and he goes over to the crowd and he hugs them. And he put in a fantastic performance against number 4 ranked Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is no bum. This wasn't like a warm-up fight for Oliveira after he lost his belt to Islam Makhachev. This is a guy who's been on an 8-fight winning streak since 2018, so he hasn't lost a fight in 5 years. And lots of people think he should be Islam's next opponent, even before this fight was confirmed. So the fact that Oliveira managed to dominate Beneil Dariush with ease, it wasn't, you know, Dariush had his moments when Oliveira was on his back, but I think overall it was an amazing game plan executed by Oliveira. And I think him and everyone at Shootbox, Diego Lima down in Brazil, Sao Paulo, I think that gym is in, they really must have worked hard because it was such a perfect game plan. And I'll go into it a bit more, but yeah, what a performance from Charles Oliveira. And I think Makhachev rematch, that has to happen next. I know there's the BMF title fight, if you want to call it that, between Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, and then supposedly the winner would then fight Makhachev because Makhachev hasn't fought either of them. But I just think with the way Oliveira it wasn't even close. Like he was so comfortable in there despite all the pressure on him, despite the opponent being of such a high quality. I just think you need to make that fight next. I think it does decent pay-per-view numbers as well, because in Brazil he's huge. He's an absolute, you know, he's big in America as it is, but in Brazil, in his home country, it's huge. He's absolutely enormous. And if you do that in Sao Paulo, why not do that in Sao Paulo? Make Islam fight in Sao Paulo, not in Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi. Get a very good atmosphere in. It'll be huge. There'll be carnival atmosphere there for that fight. Yeah. Now let's get into the actual fight. Now, one thing, like from the very opening seconds, you could tell was that Charles was a much better striker than Dariush. He did a couple of head kicks straight away, and that really woke Dariush up. You could see it really shook him up. But Oliveira always does. He'll always do like a head kick early on, just to almost like impose himself, similar to the way when Alex Pereira fights, he does jumping knees or whatever, just to impose himself. Because yeah, he is tall. I did tweet about how I was worried about like Oliveira's weight cut, because at the weigh-in he looked awful. You could see his cheekbones literally I was generally worried about him, because especially with Beneil, who doesn't have to cut as much weight, and DC said it on commentary, like he fills out so much overnight from the weigh-in. So yeah, I was generally worried. I was generally worried that Oliveira's gas tank, how much that weight cut affected him, because it is a big weight cut for him at 155. But I guess he proved me wrong, because he went in there and smoked him. But yeah, much better striker than Dariush. Feints, the kicks, and then obviously you got to take him to the ground. What was interesting was that Oliveira, he could have got up much sooner than he did, but it was almost like he was comfortable on the ground. He was tying up Dariush's legs, his arms, just trying to tire Dariush's limbs. So when he does get back on his feet, which eventually happens, he can be more successful at striking. Yeah, it didn't seem to respect Dariush's ground and pound as well when Dariush was on top position. He was just guarding up, didn't look worried at all. And I know the commentators thought he was too comfortable, but I mean, he was defending shots very well. Dariush actually hit the canvas a couple of times. So yeah, didn't even hit Oliveira when he was on there. So very, very dominant, on the ground. And when Oliveira did get up from the ground, went straight back to striking. Clearly felt he tired Dariush's gas tank a little bit, enough to go back to it. And now obviously him and Diego Lima and all those guys at Shootbox notice that Dariush is that when he goes into the southpaw stance, he leaves his backhand a little bit low whenever you try and jab. A bit like how Usman sometimes does. It's just a natural thing. It's very hard to train, like when you're in that fight, in that environment. It's just natural twitch fibers. That's when they obviously noticed, and they set up with the jab, feinted it. Noticed, then Dariush put his arm he did like went for his guard, but it was just enough, a little bit low for there to be enough impact. Clearly wobbled him. It was a fantastic head kick, and then he just went to town with the punches. You know, he just swarmed Dariush, didn't give him a chance to breathe once he was up against the cage. Overhand right, almost like a bit on the wrist, that went on Dariush's temple, and that was all she wrote. I mean, it was easily finished by Oliveira. He must have worked so hard in the gym to get a result like that against Dariush. And yeah, wow, what a performance by Bronx. And like when I said before, when he goes into the fans after this fight, he did that again. He was hugging them all, and he was parading around the octagon. I mean, he's the biggest Brazilian star in the UFC. There's no doubt about it. And I just think they need, if he's not going to fight Makhachev next, the title, I think you at least need to do him fight in Sao Paulo against perhaps the winner of Jorge Gaethje, even though he's beaten them both before. Run it back. I generally don't know who else you should go for, because he's on such a high level. He beat the UFC's number 4 ranked lightweight contender. It was so he wasn't even close. Like, he needs to have either a homecoming fight in Sao Paulo, maybe either for the title or not for the title, or the title fight against Makhachev, whether that be in, I don't know, somewhere in the States or in Abu Dhabi. But he really does deserve it, especially after that performance. Like, it wasn't even close. And the weight, like I said, I was generally worried about the weight cut, because he did look really rough at the weigh-in, but it didn't seem to matter in the end. And yeah, wow, Charles Bronx, what a performance. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. So yeah, I'm just going to be breaking down fights that happened over the weekend. We're looking at the build-up for some fights as well. So yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.